Fifth point, and that is that the government is also demanding a lot more money than is the case in most other places. This is a big chart which gives you a very comprehensive view of how this has happened in many, many countries around the world, as you can see on the screen. The point that I want to emphasize is that how much of the debt is government trying to restructure? So how much of your debt are you saying, because I'm under a lot of pressure, I want to change the terms of to make my life easier? So if you look at it, Ghana's situation, which is almost 65% or so of the debt that is trying to restructure, is closer to only countries like Dominica and to a certain extent Argentina. But for the most part, most countries, even Russia, which is often criticized for having had a very harsh restructured only about 32%. Most countries, Serbia did about 30%. Grenada did 53%, Belize 47%. So we are trying to restructure a bigger chunk of our debt than a lot of countries have had to do. The 8 point, or the 7 point, sorry, is that our domestic debt exchange also actually affects investors more heftily than a lot of other restructuring that have gone around the world. So here's another example where we list some countries and how much losses investors face. The government has tried to focus on the fact that it has not formally said it's cutting principal, but I don't know how you calculate it. Face value reduction is just one approach where you say, I'm going to pay only 70% of the debt back. The more important part is the NPV losses, the losses that I face, regardless of whether you reduce the face value or not. And when you take that into account, Russia, depending on where you were, about the median was about 50-something%. Some people get only 46% of losses. Ukraine in the range of about 18%, 59%. In Ghana, because of high inflation in Ghana, some investors are estimating loss of up to 77%. I have seen local investors take their portfolio and show 88%. So it's huge and massive. We are talking of countries like Jamaica, which we try to compare with, doing about 10 to 15% NPV losses, 8.6%, and Nicaragua doing about 25%, etc. So we are on the high range in terms of how much investors are going to lose. And then you look at our public debt versus some of the other countries' public debt, the burden, for which reason you need such massive, and you need to cause such massive losses to investors. And you see that we are not, we don't have the same burden as those countries that, are giving investors a smaller haircut. Like Barbados had a debt to GDP ratio of over 150%, Jamaica 140%, Greece 140%, and we are comparable to some of the countries that have way bigger public debt to GDP.